So we've already talked a little bit about how WinterPromise philosophy translates to our language arts in general. We're going to talk specifically about how it translates to our early language arts. We're talking about second grade and under. That's from our letters to words, syllables to sentences, paragraphs to pages, stories, short chapters, and readers to real books. We're talking about those programs specifically. Again, it's the same basic route. We use hands-on games and fun activities. We have interactive workbooks that are unique compared to anything you see out there. We have oral either memorization or just time that they are able to tell back what they're reading in the story, and of course, like we've talked about a couple of different times, the different theme storylines. What kind of makes our early language arts unique, and the goal is specifically unique to these programs, is that what you're trying to accomplish at that age is reading, and a joy for reading, and a desire to read. We do that with our theme storyline. And unlike some of our other language arts where the theme will vary from year to year, this one is all unified. This has the same. We do this because when kids are at this age, they want to read the same stories over and over and over again. If they could, they'd choose their favorite character, have a billion different stories that they could read about and enjoy. We tap into that. We do that with our woodland critters such as Acorn, Dash, and Scoot, and even some others, like we have a porcupine named Bristle. All these fun characters, we have them go on adventures and explore different things to get kids excited about reading. Now, how this translates practically, and what you as a parent really want to know is like, yeah, it's great to know that they're reading these stories and they're reading, but how does that really actually get kids to become good spellers, grasp more vocabulary words, and also get them reading longer books? We do this in multiple ways. We use the vertical phonics method to teach reading, and we build from there to then get kids learning different phonograms. So each week they have a different phonogram focus. So if their phonogram is OA, their spelling words, vocabulary words, and their story will incorporate a bunch of those OA words, so that they are constantly being forced to decode and understand words with the phonogram OA. That really just builds into all that really easily. So they are quickly decoding because they're all OA words, not all of them, but a lot of them are. They're also, because they're learning to know how to spell OA words and also understanding the meaning of different OA words, such as boat or float, they are building a bank of words that they will start to just identify easier and faster and more rapidly. And this then makes it easy for you as a parent when it comes to, as they're starting to read like short chapter books, like in our stories short chapters, we have reading comprehension like activities and games that actually ask them, okay, what happened first? What happened second? And that, that really gets kids thinking about the story as a whole, not just, well, this one event happened to this one character, but how did that happen in relation to the whole story? So all this fun adventures and these stories get kids doing all this stuff without knowing that they're learning so much. They'll have a bank of vocabulary words that they'll just know, and by the time they're in second grade, they're reading short chapter books, and it's not difficult because all the stories in here will incorporate words that they can decode where they're at with what they've already learned. It doesn't incorporate words that they will not be able to decode and thus feel defeated. None of the words they'll encounter will be like, you may have see that there are some books for like, I can read it, are about whales. We've seen that they actually incorporate the scientific name for a specific type of whale, and there's no way a child of first or second grade would be able to decode that word. Those type of things will not happen in our early reading language arts. You may be asking, like, well, what makes these stories so exciting? Well, they tap into what is so wonderful and exciting and the things that happens to kids every day that delight and excite them. Anything like, just going and getting into either trouble or discovering something new with their best friend, or learning that they can conquer their fears, and or trying to learn what it means to like apologize to someone who maybe it may not be what you want to do, but all the things that kids encounter, the adventures, the things they wish they could do sometimes, such as going and explore on a long expedition in the woods and finding a wolf pack. It's like things that the innocence of that and those adventures are just in the stories, and lovable characters that get you excited, such as Acorn, who is the hero in so many stories. He either gets a lot of these critters to go off and discover something new, or write, in some of them he writes newspaper stories about some of the critters, like what they did in the past, or one of them is a doctor who and writes about his family, and this is all very real to kids. They want to learn about and get close to characters that are like themselves, that have like fears, and they conquer fears in these stories. One of the critters helps teach some raccoons that stealing isn't such a good idea, and helps them to see that, it's so much better to share. And she's one of the most fearful of all the critters, but brings up enough bravery within herself to help these other animals. These are the things that get kids excited. This is the stuff that really kids want to like read about. And also the fact is that when they read a couple of pages or a page, there's a cliffhanger at the end, so they don't always know what's going to happen. They read a chapter and there's things that they haven't found out. Will they escape from being trapped in this cave? Or will this character come back from leaving some of their friends? I mean, there's a cliffhanger to get them wanting to read to the next day. And what me as an author, it just was fun to be able to just have to relive some of my own childhood memories through writing these stories. And also just think about some of the people, that inspired some of these characters. But probably what was most enjoyable was just knowing that if I'm smiling about it, I hope and pray that my enjoyment of it communicates to kids. And it's a joy for me as the author to hear from parents, just how excited they are, and sometimes sad when they can't read any more stories because there's no more. But it's a joy for me to find that, but I'm just glad that kids are learning to read and are getting the joy that I have for writing, and they're translating that into a joy for reading. So for me, it's just exciting to know that a bunch of kids are learning a joy for reading that maybe they didn't have before. So that's just a lot of things that make us unique. That's what I, as an author, got from writing the curriculum, and just some of my favorite characters,